Hey, it's Dr. Karen Can. Welcome to another edition of the Spiritual Medicine Digest. And our first topic is a little bit on the serious side. It's about Ascension Cycle Deaths. Now, a lot of folks, when I say the word death, they automatically feel this heaviness. Now, this heaviness, this darkness, whatever that is, I have to say that this is a perceptual filter that we have been taught through our human lives, that somehow death is bad. Now, of course, you might argue, well, Dr. Karen, isn't violent death bad? And I'm like, well, I can tell you it's certainly not preferred. Okay, it's not preferred. But is it bad? Okay, bad means that we resist what is. And what is good and bad if not contrast of yin and yang, up and down, left and right? And bad means that we don't prefer it, really, as opposed to a judgment of it. And I had a nice conversation with Source this week because of a death in our community that really was shocking and certainly unexpected. So I had a conversation with Source around this Ascension Cycle Deaths. And the reason that I talk about the Ascension Cycle Deaths is because I noticed over the years, since I've been paying attention to the whole ascension, in other words, when the spiritual energies elevate in our whole planet, universe, Mother Earth, all of us, there are cycles of things that happen. A lot of the things that people consider good are low vibrational energies, past patterns, poor or negative, I should say, thoughts, or patterns that no longer serve us are ready to be released, are ready to be healed, toxins ready to be released, negative emotions, all that kind of stuff. During these ascension cycles, there's plenty of opportunity to heal deeper, 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 and release more and more that no longer serves us, so we become closer and closer to Source. And I'm not talking about Source as in God with a white beard and who's in heaven waiting for you to go through the pearly gates, okay? I'm talking about the oneness of all that is the source of creation. Some people call it the 0 point. Some people call it the quantum field, the ether, whatever it is for you. When we get that closer to that purity, that is like our ascension process. Now, during the ascension process, there are these releases and healings, if you will. During the ascension process, there are also physical deaths, meaning that there are human physical deaths, which we as humans often will judge as bad. Okay, now just remember, this is a perceptual filter that we judge as bad. But what if it wasn't necessarily bad? I don't mean I'm trying to want people to die. No. Oh, okay. That is not a preference. But I'm talking about what if it's part of life and death. So like in nature, there is a senescence, and then there is spring, and then there's growth, and then there's senescence and death, and then, and trees go through this cycle, and we can see it every day. But we are, as humans, we are so disconnected from our planet and from nature that we think things are supposed to be like this, a straight frickin' line. That's not how it works. If anything, it works in a circle. Cycles. Okay? And what us humans do is we resist. We resist the cycle. Because we're like, well, my business is going to grow. I want it to grow, right? But then when we see a dip in business or pause, we don't, instead of going, oh, this could be one of those cycles. Maybe time to rest. Okay? Maybe a senescent cycle. We go, oh my God, there's something wrong, right? I have to do something, right? And then we try to get it back on the straight line. Well, it doesn't exist. Not in nature anyway. In our minds it exists. So that darkness, that heaviness that you feel, just keep in mind that's probably your filter that is causing you to feel that way. Death is part of life. Now, during the ascension cycles, there are times where there are a slew of human deaths. There could be a slew of other deaths as well, but we often don't pay attention to those, do we? So we pay attention to human deaths, especially famous human deaths or deaths around us. Of course, people we know and love, and they seem to come very quickly in succession. And I know people used to, say, oh, when bad things happen, it happens in threes. And, there is something to that. The word I would take away from that is the word bad. Okay, again, judgment, right? Yes, things happen in cycles. And during the ascension cycle or ascension death cycle, there often is multiple human deaths in a very short period of time. So then you're like, okay, so there's death, and you're probably asking me, so why, right? Why? Okay, so what happens during the ascension cycle? Well, this is my current understanding, and I say current because new information comes in all the time. Sometimes us as humans in our current level of consciousness are not allowed to know certain things until we have figured some things out, and then we're allowed to know more and more spiritual information. So I'm saying my current understanding is that these ascension deaths, human deaths, as of this moment in time, as of this recording, I get that there are 4 quote unquote reasons for these deaths during an ascension cycle where our energies go up a notch. And last week's Spiritual Medicine Digest was all about coming into that new octave, that big, huge step up to the next level. And I wouldn't be surprised if the next octave we have, that there will be subsequent deaths after that octave. And I don't know when that is. I don't know quantum physics. I'm sure somebody who's got, Idiot Savant or something, I'll probably figure out exactly when that is, but I'm not really sure when the next octave is. But I wouldn't be surprised if there were a slew of deaths after that because of this whole cycle. So the 4 things that seem to be related to these sudden human deaths, number 1, and this is in no particular order. So number 1 is that sometimes the human body will die because it physically can't hack, if you will, or tolerate the huge shifts in spiritual ascension. So what happens is that the spiritual body will start to rise in that vibration. And then the energetic body and the physical body. Now, physical body usually lags behind a wee bit because it's 3D, right? And our spiritual bodies may be in 5D or 6D or 7D dimensions. So what happens is if a person, because it's just one of the 4 things, if a person has, say, trapped emotions, for example, deep, deep sadness and grief and regret from a child that passed away. Now that I can't even imagine what that is like. Okay, very, very deep sorrow. And they were not able to fully process this sadness. In other words, there's a difference between having a child die and 25 years later, when that birthday comes around, you feel a touch of sadness, you remember the good times, and you bless it, right? There's a difference between that and completely falling apart every single time there's a birthday. Like completely not functional, rage happening, uncontrollable sorrow, that kind of thing, right? Because that is like trapped emotion, which is generally not healthy. So in a person like that, who has not fully forgiven a perpetrator in their lives, say, someone who hurt them in the past, a death, a loss, that kind of thing, if they have those energies that are not yet healed, and with the ascension energies coming in these cycles, it is more and more intense as we go on. So for those of you already doing this work on a regular basis, it's going to be much more subtle for you. You may not even understand or realize, oh, it's a jump, But for those folks, it is such a huge gap between those emotions that are trapped and the new level of ascension spiritual energies. This gap is so big that their physical body cannot tolerate the change. And so they die. Whether that be heart attack or stroke or, some of these sudden deaths, that seemingly aren't explained. That is one of the 4 possibilities. So they can't hack the higher vibration because they have not done their spiritual work, and the physical body cannot catch up as quickly, and therefore, can't tolerate those energies, and the systems go haywire, and then they physically die. Now, the soul doesn't die, but they physically die. What is the other possibilities, the other 3? The other one is that they choose to leave. And what that means is, in some cases, they feel the ascension energies, they may or may not recognize what it is, but it brings up so much stuff, so much pain, okay, and suffering from their past that has not healed, that on some level they go, I give up. I can't do this anymore. I give up. Okay, they may not consciously be saying this to another person, like they're not consciously suicidal, but they just it's so uncomfortable that spirit part that says, I'm done with this life, get me out of here. Okay. And those choices, sometimes it really is conscious, like as in they're saying it out loud, you know, and they know what they're saying. And other times it's not quite at that conscious level, but they just are struggling, and all they may see is pain. So they go, I'm out of here. Okay. And the really interesting thing is often there's a prelude to this, not in all cases, but a prelude to this. The prelude is addictions. And the addictions are there to kind of numb them, especially if they're highly sensitive people, to numb them from that pain. So they'll have the drugs or the medications or whatever it is. And it could be something that's, you know, an herb that's healing in another person, but as an addiction in that person. You know, marijuana comes to mind, right? Very healing, amazing, right? But it can be still addictive. So in that person who is trying to get away from their emotions or their sensitivity or whatever it is that makes them very, very uncomfortable, they can choose to leave, and then their physical body can die, or they can do other things that, you know, cause their physical body to die, I suppose. And then, so the prelude to that potentially is the drug addictions. So what's number 3? Well, this is a weirdie. In my Evolutionary Healer book, I have a chapter called the Alternate Self Syndrome. And we're talking like the woo-woo of the woo-wooist here, okay? I'm describing in there. So you can read more about alternate self syndrome in there. But basically, in a nutshell, through the ascension process, we can heal all lifetimes simultaneously. And yes, we have more than one lifetime. And what happens is if we have these timelines converged, and they are not converged in a dimensional way, which is ideal, but they are converged in some sort of energetic or physical way, which did happen to a number of my patients years ago. They can actually suffer the same symptom that their alternate timeline is suffering. Now, we know from other past life regression therapies that have been going on with psychologists for many, many decades that, for example, someone can have neck pain from having been hung in another timeline, or someone could have a, you know, heart attack after they were stabbed in the heart as a pirate, you know, from another timeline. So those things have happened to people. In this case, when their alternate timeline has a medical condition or is killed or whatever, it is possible for the person in this timeline to also die of the same thing. Now, I did have this happen, like I said, to a number of patients previously, many, many years ago. And in one particular case, you know, and somebody I've been seeing regularly, had really no signs and symptoms of anything impending, but I found out suddenly that she had had a heart attack, and I thought, that is so weird, like what's going on? So we traced it down to an alternate timeline who did have a heart attack, and that her timelines were converged inappropriately. So we did fix that, and which is, you know, part of the alternate self syndrome, you know, directives. And what we did was we took a look at, you know, the parts of the heart and things like that, and just made sure that she was sovereign in this timeline. And so we kind of separated the symptoms from that other timeline from this timeline. And then soon afterwards, she was able to get off all her medications. There was absolutely no heart damage found. The doctors were a little kind of stumped about what happened or even why she had the heart attack. And she was, you know, good as gold after that. So that is relatively uncommon, but it's possible, especially now with the ascension cycles and the intensity of those timeline convergences. Now, the even less common, the fourth thing that it could be, is the deaths, the ascension cycle deaths, is when that person has completed both their soul mission and their soul experience template. So the soul mission, you kind of get what that is, right? That's their mission in this body, in this timeline. Well, guess what? Once you finish your mission, you can have other missions, if you so choose, so you have the next mission, the next mission, the next mission. Some people just think it's just one mission, which is what I used to think too. But I'm on, I don't know how many missions I'm on now. But anyway, so I passed my first one and then I'm on the second one. Anyway, so there can be many missions. However, if a person finishes their mission, then they could die. It could be their time. Now, what's the soul experience template? Now, the soul experience template, by the way, the soul mission and soul experience template are things that we can extract for a person using the Topicana healing method, which is the method that I teach. So I have students that learn the method and also practitioners who are certified in doing this work for others. So the soul experience template is pretty much what you ask to experience as a human in a particular lifetime. And there's usually 1 to 4 things that you wish to experience in a lifetime. And if you have completed that experience and your soul mission and did not choose another one, then it's your time. And that could mean that your guardian angels, who supposedly, according to Keith Leon, best-selling author of Walking with My Angels, your predetermined expiration date, okay, at that point, the angels go, hands off, time to go, and they allow you to die. Okay, before then, whatever you do to try to kill yourself, they're going to try to save you, okay? So that's kind of interesting about the predetermined expiration date. So if someone, for example, their soul experience template was to experience awe in a human body, okay? Maybe they had a lot of the opposite growing up, but at some point, in some point of their life, they had, opened up and they were able to experience that awe, like that connection to source, that awesomeness in a human body. That would be the soul experience template completed. Now, there could be multiple instances of that, right? But if also their soul mission was complete, then they would exit. So those are the 4 things my current understanding about what happens during Ascension Cycle Deaths. Why do people leave us during this time? And those are the 4 main reasons. So now to the next really, really cool and exciting piece of news I want to share with you. It's all about the unconditional love bubble. Okay, so what is that? Positive morphic fields are like blueprints. There is a blueprint or frequency set, if you will, of unconditional love. Now, the cool thing is that we can now download the unconditional love bubble to another person, even if we do not have permission to heal them. And this is very interesting because there have been times where I was not allowed to know about someone's entities, or I was not allowed to know about certain things. Okay, so the source basically blinded me to certain aspects because there was an experience that needed to happen. Sometimes after the fact, I'm like, but why didn't you tell me? And source is like, I purposefully didn't tell you, So the really cool thing is that when we don't have permission to do energy healing on someone we love or care about, it can be very frustrating, especially if we're very good energy healers, because we're like, oh, we could so help them, but they don't give us permission, and that's that, right? But we've always been told you can always love them. You can always send unconditional love. And in the past, you would think of them and you would feel the love and they would get that packet unconditional love, okay? Does it last? Maybe, maybe not. But the good news is, as of this week, my understanding is that the unconditional love bubble has been created. I call it an automatic alignment activator, meaning that it's perpetuant, or is that a word? Perpetuating. So the unconditional love bubble will download, if you will, to the target of your choice, even if you do not have permission to heal that person through energy healing. The unconditional love bubble will also protect that person from low vibrational entities, such as ghosts and demons and dark angels. As long as their light score is above a 4, now 4 is very low, okay? 4 is very low. If it's 4 and above, then a demon or dark angel cannot attach to them. Okay? Doesn't mean that they can't stand outside their auric field and try to like distract them or do something, but they can't attach to them when they have that unconditional love bubble downloaded. The AAA, the automatic alignment activator, keeps that love bubble there. So you might go, Dr. Karen, this sounds great. How do I do it, right? Okay, I'm going to teach you exactly how to do it. So this is a positive morphic field. It's already been created. Okay, so all you need to do is tap into it and command it to download it to someone. However, there is a stipulation in this case. In order for it to work, you must be connected to 0 point or stillness at the time that you think of that person, or you're in a state of love. It doesn't have to be perfect unconditional love, but a state of love when you think of that person. So stillness or love. So that is the stipulation. How do you get to stillness? Well, I use it through stillness through observing internal movement, which is something that I love to teach for free because it's very easy. And for those of us that are very clairsentient, we feel things in our body very easily. It's a wonderful way to get into stillness or that 0 point. So I'll post that link in case this is new to you. I'll post that link somewhere near this video so you can take that free training, okay? So get into stillness. Think of the person that you wish to download the bubble, and that's it. You don't even have to do the directive. If you want to know the directive, you would just say, I now command unconditional love bubble be downloaded to so-and-so in the highest and best way. Thank you. Okay. But you don't need to. That positive morphic field, that AAA, okay? And how do you get that AAA? How do you access that AAA? Okay, a couple of different ways, okay? If you can do it by doing the directive, okay? And just say, I now command that the automatic alignment activator that Dr. Karen made for the unconditional love bubble to download to anyone that I pay attention to be downloaded to me. Thank you. Right? And then what happens is after that, when you think of a person in stillness or in love, that unconditional love bubble will download to them without you having to do the directive. The other way is, say you're like, I'm not really familiar with your directives. How do I do it? I'm not really sure. Right? Okay. You can tap into that AAA to be able to do what I'm talking about. Think and it downloads, right? So there's a morphic field for that where you can download it to yourself. So the moment you think of someone in love or stillness, that unconditional love bubble downloads to them without you having to do any commands. Okay, so that positive morphic field or talent or gift, if you will, is in the Ascension 3 jewelry. So if you have that, just ask it to say, hey, that unconditional love bubble, whatever Dr. Karen's talked about, the unconditional love bubble, download it to me. Thank you very much. Okay. So that's all you need to do. If you have Ascension 1 and 2 on the MP3, MP4, this would be Ascension 2. You would play it and you would say, hey, download that unconditional love bubble, thing that Dr. Karen made, in October, right? And it would know what you mean. Okay. And then you would have that ability to just think of someone in love or stillness and the unconditional love bubble download automatically to them at the speed of thought. This is so incredibly exciting at the speed of thought. So you may be wondering, does Donald Trump have the unconditional bubble? Absolutely. Why? Because I thought of him, right? Does Joe Biden, the other front runner, have the love bubble? Absolutely. And, can these guys use it? Absolutely, they can use it, right? They need all the help they can get. So instead of us sending them love on a daily basis or, clearing their space or clearing the White House, whatever, just having that unconditional love bubble available is so powerful. Now, is it possible for entities of less than light score 4 to attach? Theoretically, yes. So what are those? Well, the most common that are that low in frequency are what I call the darkness of the dark. And if you want to see what this looks like, there's been several movies and TV shows made with depictions of that. The one I can think of right now is Lost. They call it the smoke monster. And then Star Trek Beyond, I think with Christopher Pike, one of the latest ones, there was a similar kind of dark monster as well, hive mind, anyway. So they don't have a body or form like a humanoid, right? Whereas the dark angel or a lower realm demon often have a form that's an individuated body, whereas darkness of the dark does not. So darkness of the dark, darkness masked in light, it's kind of like twin sister, can also be under 4. And the last one, which I used to call light masked in light, which was really kind of confusing, so now I'm just calling it pseudo-light, okay, which is some of the most insidious entities to find and discover, because most people are well aware of, you know, ghosts and jinn and different kinds of demons and dark angels and even lower realm, you know, animal type entities, but they're really not aware of these other more kind of amorphous-y, you know, entities that it's like you can't put them in a bottle, you know, like they're kind of like, you know, challenging to pin down. So, UPS guy must be here because my dog is barking. I didn't get this video finished in time before he started barking. Anyway, where was I? Oh, yes. So those are the 3 entities that tend to have the lowest light score. So just FYI, okay, nothing for you to be necessarily scared about or anything like that. You keep doing your stillness work. The really cool thing is in that space of stillness, like in my case, stillness through absorbing internal movement, you become full of yourself. When you become full of you, all of you, it's pretty much impossible for any entity to attach to you. Okay, so now let's go to, and by the way, if you are concerned about entities, I do have a program for that called the Light Warrior Bootcamp 2.0, and we talk all about the different kinds of entities and what the risk factors are and how you can release them from multiple lives, and the light mirror effect, where other people think you have entities, but it's really their stuff that's only, you know, shown up when they're with you. Anyway, so there's lots of different things there. If you're like, oh, I'm interested in that program, just let me know. Just DM me or PM me. I can give you the link for that. So the one other thing I want to tell you about the unconditional love bubble is that you may ask, if you're sophisticated to know this, to ask, well, if I think of a person, will this unconditional love bubble automatically download to all of their alternate lives? The answer is no, not yet. You have to be able to attend with your mind to all their alternate lives. And then, yes, it will download to all their alternate lives. So that means you having to be able to imagine with your attention all these other lives that you don't really know what they look like, right? But if you can attend, if you can be in stillness and imagine, say, millions of people in front of you, they're all the same soul, then yes, that particular unconditional love bubble will download to them at the speed of thought. Okay, so let's just review this really exciting news. Number 1, in order for you to be able to download the transmutational bubble is a different thing. For you to be able to download the unconditional love bubble to someone at the speed of thought by just thinking of them without having to say the directive, you must first already have that automatic alignment activator, okay, or that positive morphic field within you to be able to do that, right? How you get that is you can do a Topican healing directive to download it to yourself, okay? And if you do it in stillness, even more powerful. Or you can use Ascension 2, my tool, to play it and just tell it to download it to you. Or if you have Ascension 3 jewelry, some easy peasy, just tell it to download it to you, right? After you have that, then when you think of one person, okay, in your mind, or them in a million alternate selves, if you can do that, that's enough. In speed of thought, the unconditional love bubble will download and activate them, even if you do not have permission to heal them with energy healing. So really exciting, exciting news. Super exciting. Super excited to tell you that this week. Okay, so some announcements. Number 1 is that coming up on the 19th of this month, so October 19th, that week, we are launching the Women's Business Maverick Summit. Now, I was very honored to be asked to speak at this summit because I don't really think of myself as a business maverick. A woman, yes, but not a woman business maverick. However, I was the only healer that was asked to be in the summit based on my experience of running my business online and running several businesses. And so it's a huge honor to speak about this. And specifically, I'll be talking about one of the avenues that women can become sovereign financially, if you will, and also, self-reliant financially using the network marketing model, which I've been using in my LifeWave business. So I'll be talking about network marketing in general, and some of the ways in which you could have a little checklist on, what's a good opportunity and what is not a good opportunity. Certainly the wellness industry I'm very passionate about. So you may or may not be into phototherapy patches. You might be into something else. But in this talk, I will be talking about all the different things to look out for, and why this is a really great opportunity, because network marketing is one of those businesses that actually boomed during the pandemic, as opposed to a lot of businesses failing. So in our business, for example, in LifeWave, it expanded. We had our best month ever, months ever, actually, through the pandemic. As a wellness company, we weren't shut down. So, you can call that luck, you can call that providence, whatever. But I'll be talking about how women entrepreneurs can become more financially, self-reliant, more financially free with using that particular type of entrepreneurship, direct sales. So that's what I'll be talking about, but there's a lot of women mavericks. I mean, if you look at the summits, the names, I mean, honestly, I had so much going on with book launches and everything. I wasn't, normally I would say, like, no, I don't have time for this, right? But it was, first of all, such an honor to be chosen as the only healer. But also, number two, I saw the names. I saw who was going to be in the summit, and I was like, these women freaking rock. Okay, these are amazing women. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to be in the same summit with these guys. Yes. I said yes. I think my higher self was like, you're saying yes, okay, you got a lot to do. Anyway, so I'd love for you to be part of it if you are a woman, obviously, and are looking to learn from other women entrepreneurs, what they went through, how they are successful. Because I got to be honest with you, no offense to you guys, okay, but the teachers that I've had in the entrepreneurial space that are men, a lot of times they just don't get us women. They just don't get us, right? I don't function in that way. I don't think in a male way. And so it's been difficult to apply what I'm learning from some of my male teachers, or, and these are people, people I bought their courses and things like that, right? To apply to the wellness industry, a very sensitive industry full of women, right? So for you to be able to hear from women that are doing really well in the entrepreneurial space as a woman, I think is priceless. So if this is interesting to you, I'm going to post the link near this video. The quick link you can get to at KarenCan.com/WBM, which stands for Women's Business Maverick. Okay, and that's summit that's coming up on the 19th. So you can, sign up for free. As many of these telesummits are free. Listen to them, and really grow in many, many ways from the summit. So I'm super excited about that coming up. So the other announcement that I have is that on Monday's radio show is a pre-recorded radio show with Miguel Mendonça, and I had interviewed him a number of times talking about aliens. This time we are going to be talking about his newest book called Wisdom Now and Always, where he interviews some pretty amazing people from around the world about the topic of wisdom. And this is a very, very interesting interview. And although it's pre-recorded, you can't ask questions live. I think you will really, really enjoy it. And I just got my book in the mail just a couple of days ago. It's beautiful. So I really look forward to you. If you're like wisdom, yes, we need wisdom now more than ever. Yeah. You may want to listen to the show. So the Light Warrior Radio Show is Mondays at 12 noon Eastern. And I will post the link near this video. And if you're not already on my mailing list, please get on my mailing list. You can just go to KarenCan.com and just put in your name and email address, and then we will give you reminders of the show and the links and et cetera, because every week I do one of these videos, Spiritual Medicine Digest, and every week there is a new podcast or radio show as well, and some of these topics may really interest you. And if you're watching this on YouTube, feel free to click subscribe, and feel free to also comment and share with your friends. All right, much love to you, and happy unconditional love bubble downloading. Bless you.